Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Well, the province has won a major court victory today, getting the go-ahead for a class action suit on behalf of other provinces against pharmaceutical companies. And this is over the opioid crisis. What difference do you think this will make? We'll talk to former Vancouver Mayor Kennedy Stewart, and we'll take your calls. Plus, each year, dozens of Hallmark holiday movies are made right here in BC. We'll get some behind-the-scenes tidbits. Yes, we'll get some BTS thoughts and ask you, what is your favorite holiday movie? I'm Michelle Elliott. Welcome to BC Today. The Supreme Court of Canada has cleared BC to pursue its class action lawsuit against 49 pharmaceutical companies, including Sanus Health Inc. and Shoppers Drug Mart. And this is on behalf of other provinces, territories, and the federal government. The Supreme Court ruled today in a 6-1 decision, BC does have the constitutional right to represent the other governments in the suit to recoup the costs to treat people addicted to opioids. Supreme Court Justice said that, wrote in the decision, when products, people, and problems cross those jurisdictional boundaries, cooperation and comity are vital to ensure that justice is not blocked by provincial borders. We're going to take your calls on this today and let us know, what difference do you think this will make? What do you think of the steps that the province is taking? 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, and you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Now, I'm told that the pound 690 line is not working, so do try us on 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can also email us, bctoday@cbc.ca. My guest is Kennedy Stewart, former mayor of Vancouver, associate professor at SFU's School of Public Policy. He's been good enough to come to our studio. Hi there.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. So this decision means the province can go ahead on behalf of other provinces. So it's a question of jurisdiction here. And this go ahead with a suit against manufacturers and retailers. What do you make of that step? What's your reaction to that?
Well, first, kudos to the BC government for doing this. It's an important step, and as you said, a big win today. And I do think BC has really always led on the issue, on drug use and toxic drug deaths. And here they are again leading on it, which is great news. That said, this is only an approval by the court to move ahead with a new case. So There's no victory here yet. And if there is a victory, what will come is money from presumably the companies to the provinces, to whoever who joins the class action suit. So what's done with that money is equally as important as if they secure it.
And what have we heard from the province on that?
Well, I don't know. I think I wouldn't expect much, actually, because now they have to put their case together and then follow. I think they still have to be approved to file class action.
Certify. It needs to be certified, and then they would go through a civil suit at BC Supreme Court. So yeah, I guess what I'm wondering is, what is the actual likelihood that BC will see money from this case, and in turn that will trickle down to people who have been affected by this crisis?
Yeah, so I think there is, like I said, we've had so many steps backward on this issue still. I mean, we have 6 people dying a day here in the province, and that's starting to spread across the country. We've lost almost 16,000 people since the state of emergency was declared in 2016. And sadly, myself, I've lost 2 family members to this, one last week, which is hard to take. And so I really empathize with the families of the 16,000 people that have died.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thanks. Susan and Kyle were really special to our family, and I just talking to those who have lost people as well. It's a very difficult thing, but what's more difficult is government inaction. And in fact, we've seen many steps backward due to, I think, false information put forward to people who are trying to capitalize on this tragedy. So we're hearing it right from the top. Pierre Poilievre calling supervised consumption sites drug dens, saying they're going to roll back these facilities that
We've
save
heard
lives.
it from John Rustad as well.
That's right. And in fact, we had Premier David Eby take quite a large step back on decriminalizing drugs. So really what's happening is fear is conquering science. these suggestions for decriminalization, safer supply, consumption sites were put forward by our police leaders, our health community leaders, but now politicians are ignoring this very strong indication of what we have to do because of the misinformation that's out there.
Just to push back on that, despite those steps that have been taken, we are still looking at a death toll of 6 people dying per day. So I guess people are wondering, they have the concerns around public safety that we've heard that they've raised when it comes to decriminalization and drug use in public, but also that it continues.
Yeah.
So when you talk about rolling back, is it not just also looking at other options?
Yeah, I mean, I think the concerns about public safety are valid. I do think there was a consensus on this by governments of all stripes, really, up until the pandemic. And in fact, in 2019, we were making great steps forward here in British Columbia with seeing a real drop in the death toll. But when the pandemic hit, it really blew the doors off the whole thing. And now we have to regroup and come together and try to build a consensus around what steps are next. And we're only going to do that by dealing with the bottom line figure, which is how many people are dying per day. And let's have a commitment to say, let's half that. So what will governments do, knowing the information that they know today, to use resources like they may secure from this court case, the resources that we have, to drop it from 6 to 3 people a day, which is still horrendous. I have one friend who's lost 57 friends to this. I mean, that's war level loss. But yet we're giving into fear, we're letting Joe Rogan, guide our policy rather than our experts, which include police. And we have to do more. And I'm counting on the new health minister, who said she is going to have a new approach to addressing this crisis, to come forward, build that consensus, and start saving lives.
So many facets to this issue. Today we are talking about this ruling from the Supreme Court of Canada giving a green light to the BC government's class action suit it wants to pursue on behalf of other provinces. And this is to basically sue pharmaceutical manufacturers and retailers. And this would be to recoup costs, they say, healthcare costs incurred by the opioid crisis. We do have statements here as well. So David Eby, Premier Eby, tweeted this morning or posted on X, the opioid crisis has taken thousands of lives and devastated families across BC and Canada. Today's ruling allows us to hold opioid manufacturers accountable on behalf of all Canadians for perpetuating this crisis. We will continue this fight. And CBC also got a response from Loblaw, which owns Sanis Health, and Shoppers to this decision. And it states, we are disappointed in the outcome as this decision almost guarantees a much longer, more expensive, complex, and inefficient process. The Supreme Court's decision is about jurisdiction, not merit, and we remain steadfast in the view that we are improperly included in this action. We will continue to seek every opportunity to have the claims against us resolved as soon as possible. So that statement from Loblaw this morning. And we're taking your calls. What do you make of the step that the BC government wants to take, is pursuing a class action suit against pharmaceutical companies with regard to the opioid crisis to recoup those healthcare costs? 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone as well. My guest is former Vancouver Mayor, now Simon Fraser University Professor Kennedy Stewart. Anton is joining us now from Bowen Island. Hi, Anton.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I am fine. Thanks so much for calling.
I had to. I feel a bit conflicted. Of course, it's positive that this is going ahead. At the same time, as Kennedy Stewart just mentioned, there are still 6 people a day who are passing away of these toxic drugs. And what I find it absolutely heartbreaking, and by now, anyone now knows a family or someone or more than one people who have died of toxic drugs.
Sure.
And what I find a bit astounding is well, you just mentioned Loblaws, but if there's salmonella found on lettuce is pulled out within a day. Of course, these drugs are not sold at supermarkets, but why is there not more effort being why don't we see more effort to get these toxic drugs from our streets, and also to make sure that there's a safe drug supply? Because the first thing you would do in an emergency like this, which has been since 2016, is take away this toxic substance. That's always the first thing you do, because that stops the killing.
That's Anton, thank you so much for your call. And
You're welcome.
You bring up the toxicity of drugs. This fight began in 2018. Since then, doctors who do the prescribing have had new standards, right? Legally bound now to really abide by strict standards for prescribing opioids. They must have discussions with their patients, do a risk-benefit analysis because of the concerns around addiction. And so has the problem really been that that avenue, the pharmaceutical companies and retailers, hasn't the problem been then since then been the toxicity of street drugs?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So let's say the companies were acting absolutely properly, and they weren't kind of overprescribing or saying that these drugs are not addictive. It would only really save a small sliver of people. The province is right to go after them. Because if you think you're a construction worker who's hurt themselves and you are prescribed these drugs, and then the doctor finds out that they're addicted, they're going to pull you off the drug, and then that's why you go to the street to find, because you are addicted. And that's happened in a lot of cases, especially in the U.S., which has been showed by the Purdue Pharma exposure of their activities. So your caller is absolutely right. It is the toxic drug supply. With 250,000 drug users here in the province that are all essentially exposed to toxic drugs on a daily basis, this is really what has to be combated. And we know what to do. I think we've just been scared to do it. I do think, though, that what also happened is there's a little arrogance within the people that were advising on drug policy, and they kind of left the public behind. They kind of were moving ahead quickly with measures, and they didn't really take time to explain or even to consult or even to incorporate concerns as they rolled out the policies.
What policies are you referring to?
Well, I actually think, like with decriminalization, the original proposal was to just do it in the city of Vancouver to begin with, and we had the chiefs of police and health
You were
authorities.
involved in that?
Absolutely, yes. We headed it, and we're this close to getting approval. Then the province decided to do it province-wide. We felt we had the buy-in. We had the 3 local nations. We had many folks. It was a unanimous vote on council to move ahead. If we'd just done it in Vancouver, I think we could have handled it because we have all the facilities and everybody's trained. But once you roll it out quickly across the province, especially with the RCMP, who weren't really on board with it at all, you're going to run into problems, and that's really what happened. So, that really, I think, was a mistake in rolling out the policy, but I do think it's salvageable and will eventually have to come back.
Too fast.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it was not too fast for the city of Vancouver, perhaps too fast like places like Prince George or Victoria or Port Coquitlam that don't really have these facilities, and the problem is really just beginning to emerge there or become recognized.
Let's take another call here. Kennedy Stewart is my guest, former mayor of Vancouver, and we are discussing, really the issue of the opioid crisis ongoing in BC. But today, a Supreme Court ruling that allows the BC government to move forward with a class action suit on behalf of other provinces targeting pharmaceutical companies they say for not marketing enough or not talking about for marketing these opioids as less addictive when it comes to acting as painkillers. And so we're asking you, what do you make of this step that the province wants to take? What difference do you think it will make? 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. Randy is on the line from Vancouver. Hi, Randy.
Hi, Michelle and Kennedy. I appreciate what you're both saying. I think one of the big issues, first of all, if we do get a substantial amount of money through this class action, I think it should go right into mental health and addictions in the province, not into general revenues. We need a lot more of the same in all the toolkit that we have. We need the tools such as more treatment, residential treatment, detox. We do need more enforcement at the high level. And that's not talking prohibition, but there are, the criminal organizations are smiling at this because the drug toxicity is much more severe than it even was a few years ago. And there are some of our most marginalized residents that do need mandatory involuntary care. From a compassionate perspective, someone sitting on the street with no home, no money, a fentanyl pipe in their lap, sitting in a wheelchair, missing a leg, and mentally ill does need care. And that type of individual, I think it's contingent upon society to help that person. If that person is deemed they need mandatory involuntary care, we should do it.
And the province is pursuing expansion of that, right?
And the province should pursue expansion of that. The province should take any money that they get and start building residential treatment facilities that are voluntary, residential treatment facilities that may be for involuntary care, and educate doctors on this, educate medical students. Like I said, we need more of all of the above. I was involved very, very intimately with the first supervised injection site many years ago when I was involved with the Four Pillars organization. And when that started, it was a much different supervised injection site than we have today.
Right. So,
and
Randy,
we need to modernize a lot of this stuff.
Can I ask you then, as part of this discussion, we've been talking about kind of where we are in this debate and how governments should move forward. You've been talking about mandatory treatment for some people. That is something the province, during the election, the NDP said they would pursue. They have someone in charge of it now. So what do you make of where we are right now then and how we move forward? You're talking about, any money that comes from this suit, if they are successful, should go into treatment and all kinds of aspects that you've outlined. But how do we move forward now?
Right now, I think we move forward by getting all the parties in the room and call it whatever you want to, Four Pillars 2.0, whatever. But the premier of the province needs to strike a committee or these groups or organizations that work together on this. We have these siloed organizations, whether it's policing or Vancouver Coastal Health or the nonprofits out there. I sit on a committee, a family committee at the BC Centre for Substance Use. Harm reduction is not the only avenue to deal with this crisis.
Okay.
And if we keep going down that road, we're going to have 500,000.
Randy, thank you very much for your call. I appreciate hearing from you. Let's take a call now from Matthew at Lake Country. Okay, Matthew, hi, go ahead.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I just, as I was saying to the screener there, I really don't believe that we as taxpayers in BC should be pursuing this lawsuit. I think that taxpayer money isn't to be wasted. And my question or my point is really to what end? So we're going to spend a bunch of money in litigation in hopes to recover some. And how far does this go? And what I mean by that is, the companies really that make the drugs or the companies that sell the drugs through their pharmacies aren't, in my opinion, really the ones that are responsible. And there's so many other layers of people that may be contributing to this challenge or to the problem that we're not seeing necessarily be directly held accountable, from the pharmacists to the physicians and doctors to those that are responsible for justice in our province and sort of managing the crisis as it is today.
Okay.
So I guess my point is I'm not sure if I believe or agree with the use of taxpayer money to pursue litigation against these big corporations.
Okay.
And really, I liked your previous caller's point about if we do go down this road and the lawsuit or litigation is successful, whatever money we've spent on it is gone. Any money that we recover should go towards dealing with the crisis.
Matthew, good to hear from you in Lake Country. Thank you. And our final caller is Liz in Victoria. Hi, Liz, go ahead.
Oh, hi there. I just want to, as a social worker, I feel like I need to counter Mayor Stewart's analysis of what went wrong with decriminalization. My analysis as someone who's worked on the front lines in anti-poverty spaces is that what went wrong is we decriminalized substances but failed to address extreme poverty. And that looked chaotic. It looked stressful. It looked like it was threatening public safety. but it wasn't the decriminalization. We needed to see increases to income assistance and PWD rates. We needed to see vacancy control. We needed fare-free transit so people could move around and get the things that they need. We needed bold progressive action, and instead we just had decriminalization, and poverty was not addressed.
Appreciate your point, and I'll let Kennedy Stewart respond.
Yeah, I mean, on the court case itself, let's say that out of the 16,000 deaths, 1,000 were caused by this negligence on behalf of companies.
Well, it would be alleged, right?
Well, if it's proven to be the case and they win, it would provide closure for families. They would have, so in fact, instead of the money, it's the closure that's important, that these companies would be forced to admit that they played a role in their death of their loved ones. And I think that is probably as important. So you would find that in any other field of justice, right? If people die in car accidents or they die, and there's negligence on behalf of companies or injured at work, these suits provide closure for the families. And this is the same case here. You're finding that in the U.S. And I think that on its own merits is worth pursuing.
And on Liz's point, I just have a minute, but on Liz's point that it was in fact not enough.
Yeah, I agree that there's not enough. I mean, the scale of this problem is so enormous that if you think we're talking about involuntary treatment for 100,000 people, like really, this is what I mean. We've kind of moved into this kind of Joe Rogan type of analysis of what's happening here, and not.
What does that mean?
Well, it's kind of just driven by podcasts and Pierre Poilievre with his slogans. Like, we have to get back to the science of what is going to help here, and we've run away from it. So that is the only way forward. It's only ever been that way forward, and that's the way we have to go, but with adjustments for sure.
Appreciate your analysis today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kennedy Stewart is the former mayor of Vancouver, associate professor at Simon Fraser University's School of Public Policy. Thank you so much for all of your calls. Good to hear from you. You can keep emailing us to bctoday@cbc.ca. It is now 12:27, and this is BC Today. 1 week to go now until Make the Season Kind Day here at CBC. That is the new name for our annual CBC British Columbia fundraiser in support of food banks in BC. And this is your chance to make a donation to one of the 108 food banks in this province. I'll be hosting a special edition of BC Today, 3 hours. We'll be live outside the CBC building right here in downtown Vancouver. I'll be on stage on our outdoor plaza. We'll have tents as well. You'll be nice and cozy. I'll be joined by Margaret Gallagher of North by Northwest, and we will have some special guests with us. Familiar faces too. Brian Minter will be with us here on stage. So this is a 3-hour edition of BC Today. All day long, we're going to have special programming, all to raise funds for food banks in British Columbia. Our campaign is called Make the Season Kind. You can make your donation right now. Just go to cbc.ca/kindbc, where you'll find the Donate Now button. Click on that, you'll see a drop-down menu, and you can choose which food bank you'd like to donate to. Again, that's cbc.ca/kindbc. Click on Donate Now, and you will receive a tax receipt within a few hours. You're with BC Today here on CBC Radio 1, CBC Television, live streaming as well on our website, cbc.ca/BC, or on our streaming service. I'm Michelle Elliott. Thank you very much for joining us, and happy Friday to you. In the next half hour, we will get into the the holiday spirit, and we'll talk about holiday movies. That's coming up after this CBC News Update, and here's Rob Zimmerman.
Good afternoon. The Supreme Court of Canada says BC can sue opioid providers on behalf of other governments. The province's class action will target 49 pharmaceutical companies. on behalf of the federal, provincial, and territorial governments. The suit will call for the various governments to recoup potentially billions of dollars in opioid-related health costs. People in parts of East Souk are being told to use bottled water for drinking. The regional district has issued a water quality advisory due to elevated levels of manganese. The district says boiling water is not an effective way to reduce manganese in drinking water. And Vancouver's Robson Square ice rink is open for the winter. The Ministry of Citizen Services says the rink, which draws more than 100,000 skaters annually, will run 7 days a week from 9 to 9 until the end of February. Skating is free when you bring your own skates, or $5 otherwise. The rink, which opened in 1982, is Vancouver's only outdoor public skating rink. And now the forecast. Snowfall warnings continue for several areas, including the Caribou, Southern Peace, and Prince George. Heavy snow, strong winds, and freezing rain are expected over many coastal areas. Elsewhere, highs from -3 to +1 in the Kootenays. In the southern interior, including Kelowna, clearing late this afternoon with a high of 2. And for Metro Vancouver, Greater Victoria, and the Fraser Valley, a chance of showers this afternoon with highs around 6 degrees. That's your CBC News update from Vancouver.
Oh, I went to that ice rink last holiday.
Did you?
Last
Nice.
year.
I've never been. Oh,
You know, it's just a vibe.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
Yeah, it's
Well,
really
they've
great.
done a nice job of up top as well, right? The renovation
Everything.
in
Yeah,
Robson
you're
Square.
right.
It looks good.
They've got lights twinkling, a huge Christmas tree, and then vendors and food trucks. Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
fun. I did not
yeah.
skate at all, but
Oh,
but it's
okay.
still
Well, you
great.
went. That's the first step. Do you
Yeah.
not skate?
I don't,
Oh.
Rob.
You can still learn.
I guess I could.
Yeah.
It is quite a sight to see. If you're looking for a comedy movie, that's the one.
Interesting.
Watch me learn how to
Yeah.
skate.
No, it's not too late, Michelle. Come on. I learned as an adult.
You
can do it.
did?
Yeah.
And did it come quickly?
I
or-
I
Yeah.
started with rollerblades and then moved out up to ice skating. Yeah.
And how are you now?
I'm okay. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I'm not as good as Mark Fairfield, so that's that sort of hurts.
One of
but
our directors here?
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of involved with a whole bunch of sports, isn't he?
yeah, he plays ping pong.
Let's not
actually.
compare ourselves on anything with Mark Fairfield.
won't.
But we will look forward to seeing you on the ice rink at Robson
Sure.
Square.
I'll be there.
I'll see you with a scarf, fully decked out.
Yeah.
Rob,
toque.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Rob Zimmerman in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. A couple of emails here on the BC ferries, potential ferry fare increases as well. They're dismantling their ferry advisory committees. We talked about this yesterday. We have an email from John in Ladysmith. We're seniors with friends and family on the mainland. We also have a dog, and public transit doesn't allow us to travel with a dog. So to book a car on the ferry both ways, a 30% fare increase will really get in the way. A possible solution is to offer discounted fares to island residents. Thank you so much, John, for the email. Again, our address is bctoday@cbc.ca. Get someone cute. Make the Season Kind is the new name for our annual CBC British Columbia fundraiser in support of food banks. We have a full day of special programming planned for 1 week from now, Friday, December 6th, all designed to support the 108 food banks in this province. And here's a story of a woman who got help from her local food bank and who's had some beautiful experience with kindness.
Well, my name is Cynthia Cruz. I'm used to be a student. I used to study bachelor degree in management, 2021 in that time, but it was a pandemic as well. So I've been struggling with my assignments, with living with somebody else as a roommate, and also my mental health, everything together. So I'm like, who gonna help me, right? So I'm gonna start knocking doors and sending emails to every organization if it's possible. And the only organization who answered was the food bank. So I don't know what to do. Sorry for that. That's why I choose to pick up the food bank. I get an accident in the work, and my mental health blows out again, right? If people don't understand when you come to this country and you don't have food to eat, well, it's another choice, right? And I'm glad I find people who speak my language. And I get glad also who people who really conscious about how you feel. And they say, Cindy, don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. Everything is going to be all right. To find someone to give you a hand like this is very nice. It's like blow your mind, you know. You try to survive as soon as you can as a student to try to finish a bachelor degree. Unfortunately, right now I stopped my studies for bachelor degree, but I hope in the future when I feel better, I'll finish. My kindness is demonstrated with food. I always cook nice food for my family. I say my family because they're my friends. They're very so kind to me. But yeah, I give it away to them. So I know they like it. So it's for us as a Mexican, our food or make food for others is our kindness to give up. I remember my first Christmas with my Canadian family. They're from Colombia and Canada together. And I didn't know if I want to celebrate Christmas because for that time I didn't have the money enough to do that. What happened in Christmas, I see like 10 gifts for me. And I say, under the tree. I say, Cindy, why too much gifts? The family get nuts. They buy me a jacket, they buy me socks, they buy me, I know, like, I feel very nice to see this family give me all the support until now. Until now, we keep the friendship, yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you, Cindy, for sharing your story and your experience with the food bank and with acts of kindness in your community. A week today, Friday, December the 6th, is the 38th annual CBC British Columbia Special Day of Programming, all in support of food banks around the province. Our show, BC Today, will be live from the outdoor plaza of the CBC building right here in downtown Vancouver from noon to 3 p.m. Margaret Gallagher of North by Northwest will be my co-host. We're hoping to capture some of that energy because it will be busy down here on that day, the first of the 3 Taylor Swift concerts. And we're hoping to tap into that energy and the kindness as well. Friendship bracelets, all of that. We'll have amazing live music, special guests, and more, all under a big tent. Again, that's Make the Season Kind, our campaign to raise funds for the food banks in BC. You can make your donation right now. Just go to cbc.ca/BC and click on Donate Now. You can choose the food bank that you'd like to donate to, and you get a tax receipt after that. You could be skating at Robson Square or heading up to one of our local mountains because they are open early. Or maybe you're not into going outside. How about settling in with some popcorn, hot cocoa, and watch a holiday movie? We want to know, what is your favorite holiday film? Do you like a rom-com or a zany comedy, maybe action or even horror? Yes, they do have horror holiday films. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. You can also email us bctoday@cbc.ca. Now, this is firmly in the rom-com genre. Hallmark movies. Yes, they've become a staple of a season. Yeah, no horror movies, I don't think, from Hallmark.
No, not yet, no.
More than 60 are made right here in BC. And this weekend, the Vancouver Film School is holding a 3-day boot camp for local actors, directors, and writers to learn all about producing a Hallmark holiday film. Omari Newton is co-head of film production and head of acting for the Vancouver Film School. Michelle Harrison is an actor and involved in the Hallmark boot camp. Both have been good enough to join me here in our studio. Hello.
Hello.
I'm surprised you don't have hot chocolate and snowflakes falling above your heads.
I was hoping there'd be a Christmas tree right here. I feel like we can set deck some more Christmas.
Exactly. Make this a little bit more Hallmark-esque.
Sure, yeah.
Why a Hallmark boot camp, Omari?
Well, I think Hallmark is such a major part of Vancouver's film economy. Mm. And I think people just love Christmas and Christmas films, so we're just bringing the good vibes at Vancouver Film School.
It is about vibes, isn't it? What about you, Michelle? I mean, you have acted in Hallmark films, right?
Yes, many, yes.
Many. And
yes.
Tell me about that. What's that experience like for you?
You know what I love about them is that it's something that everyone can watch. I always have a great time making them. It's always a wonderful cast and crew, and I think it's a feel good. Like at the end of the day, it's a feel good thing, and people really like that. People want to be part of that.
I mean, we know from viewership. And can I just ask you,
Yeah.
what time of year do you film these?
They're in June and July.
So you're walking
you're wearing
around.
a Christmas coat in the middle of summer. Yes,
And how's that?
it's great. Fake snow and all.
Love
It's
it.
really fun.
Yeah, sweating underneath.
Oh
the
yeah,
big coat.
yeah. You're holding a little fan to keep your makeup from going everywhere. And, yeah,
See, I told you we were going to behind the scenes tidbits here.
the fake snow.
All the tea. Now, people do love to watch it, but they do have a formula to them.
Sure.
They are made on a smaller budget and for a relatively short amount of time. What do you think is behind its success despite that?
Well, people may have noticed that the world is in chaos at the moment, and I think we live in a time where there's a lot of stresses going on, and it's just a predictable, comfortable, reliable thing that you can just check into and sort of tune out and have some escapism with a Christmas flavor.
I'm not hating. I'm a big fan of holiday. I can enjoy a good holiday rom-com. There's one right now that features pentatonics, in fact. So it has good movies as well.
Nice.
I mean, good music as well, rather. So what are people going to learn? I mean, what you're trying to do is empower people to participate in the film industry, in that hallmark industry that that is a significant part of our economy here. So what are they going to learn over the weekend?
Go ahead, Omari.
Yeah, well, there's something for everyone. So tonight, director and writer and producer Ron Oliver, who's known as the King of Christmas, is coming to our campus at 151 Cordova, and I'll be hosting him in an AMA, and he'll just kind of unpack everything about how these movies are written and shot. On the weekend, Michelle will be featured on a panel that I'll also be hosting. We have writer Zach Hugg and Michael Nankin, a very prolific director. He'll be teaching, or we'll all be teaching about how to work in those films. And there'll be workshops for actors, writers, and directors throughout the weekend. And then we'll shoot a mock Hallmark scene on the Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Fun. Yeah.
What kind of scene is it?
It's like your typical Hallmark scene. It's a meet cute, takes place in a back room of a nurse's office, and it's very Christmassy and very fun.
And then they put a play together at the end, right?
Maybe.
Perform in front of the village.
Speaking of plays,
Oh yeah, we should also mention we are acting in Miracle on 34th Street, or I directed, and Michelle is acting in Miracle on 34th Street at the Arts Club Theater.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And has it opened?
It opened on
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
On Wednesday. Amazing. What's that been like?
it's been amazing.
Yeah.
It's been all the beautiful Christmas feels and
Absolutely.
community and kindness and love and happiness, and to see the audience at the end, all because you can't really see them until the end. They're all just sort of looking up with these happy faces of joy, and it's been really quite something.
It's classic.
Yeah.
And I very overtly had the Hallmark aesthetic in mind when directing the production. I was thinking, how do we create that magical kind of soft, friendly, family-friendly vibe?
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Like street lights and snow falling softly.
it's all there.
Yeah, let's put out our numbers again: 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can also email us bctoday@cbc.ca. We are asking you, what is your favorite holiday movie? What's your favorite kind of holiday movie? We often get really diverse choices here on the show when people call us. So I'm going to have to ask you as well, Amari and Michelle, and it doesn't have to be a Hallmark film. We're going to expand our horizons here. What is your favorite holiday film?
Okay, it's sort of a tie between Miracle on 34th Street and It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, wow. You're going way back.
You got to stick with the classics, right? They're timeless classics for a reason, and I just think that they're beautifully acted, and the message behind them I just think is really, really nice.
They really stood the test of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what about you, Michelle?
There's an old movie called The Waltons' Homecoming. It was the pilot movie for the Waltons TV show. And no joke, my family watches it every year. It's the Great Depression, Virginia, family doesn't have much money, and the father's gone off to make some money for the family. And there's a big snowstorm, and John Boy is sort of forced to become a man, and it's a lovely, lovely film.
And you watch it with your family. So there's that part of it as well, is it's the tradition of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know we used to watch, we haven't yet this year, but still some time left. But we usually watch The Sound of Music for some reason every year, and Home Alone.
Of course.
which we have already. I watched the other day with my daughter. I do also watch this movie with Seth Rogen. It's a really funny one. I think it's called The Night Before or something like that.
I don't know that one.
Well, Seth Rogen is just very funny.
Yes, yes. Very funny.
What do you make of those comedies? Because there are a lot of like really funny holiday comedies as well. They're just like,
Oh, sure.
yeah,
National Lampoons.
absolutely.
I guess, is Love Actually a comedy? Does that count as a
I didn't
ish?
laugh,
Yeah.
so I don't know.
Yeah.
People just want to laugh and have a good time. And I think like the holidays is a time to relax and be home with your family or just be sitting on your couch. And so something that's giving back to you and making you feel good or making you laugh is always a good experience.
What's it like for you as filmmakers, people involved in the craft of filmmaking, to watch a holiday movie? Are you like wrapped up in the moment, or are you actually thinking about the technicalities of it?
I think a bit of both,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
For me, whenever I watch Hallmark movies, it's like watching home movies or like watching like a video that my friend shot. Because
Right.
I know so many people
true.
on camera and behind the scenes that I'm always just like, oh, there's so-and-so. Oh, that's done by...
It's like a reunion
Yeah.
on camera. Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
And for you?
Yeah, exactly
Same
the
thing?
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get lost in the story, and also I can look at it objectively, sort of from a filmmaker view. So it's both.
It's both.
Yeah.
Okay. We have an email from Michelle who writes, my favorite Christmas movie is One Magic Christmas with Mary Steenburgen and Harry Dean Stanton. It's a modern take on It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
Canadian made as well, and I watch it every Christmas.
Oh,
I gotta watch that. I
I'm
love
gonna
Harry
watch
Dean
that.
Stanton.
Yeah.
I love Mary Steenburgen. So there you
Yeah.
go. Thank you for that. And Michelle, I hope you enjoy that movie very soon. Our numbers again, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. And you can email bctoday@cbc.ca. We're asking, what are your favorite holiday movies? And, we ask this question once a year. And every year we get Die Hard. And thank you, Brian,
Thank you.
for
Good.
bringing
Laurie
it
said
up.
that earlier.
Well, I wanted to settle this because there's a big debate about it. Die Hard is
Sure.
absolutely a Christmas film, and that does count, and it is a great Christmas film.
Thank you,
Bruce
Brian.
is
Yes.
behind me right now.
Oh, there he is.
There you
The man.
Yes, absolutely. And I know I have friends who have to watch Die Hard every holiday.
Yeah.
Sure.
What is your take? What's your stance, Michelle, on Die Hard as a holiday?
I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to agree with Brian on that. Yes, Brian.
Good. I'm glad.
Brian, thank you. You basically ripped the Band-Aid off because I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And let's just settle it now. I think it's settled. It's been settled for
settled.
years.
Yeah.
It's a holiday movie as well. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. And you can email bctoday@cbc.ca asking you for your favorite holiday films. And what makes a holiday film for you? Is it one that makes you laugh or makes you feel the warm and fuzzies and that reminds you that there is good in the world as we experience a lot of chaos around us? Is that something that just brings the chaos down for you and gives you a bit of escapism? And Judith writes, The Great Rupert is a very best Christmas film ever starring Jim Durant.
Whoa.
Are you familiar with that one?
No.
Okay, maybe you can tell us a bit more about that, Judith. And that is The Great Rupert, the very best Christmas film ever, starring Jimmy Durant. 1-800-825-5950. Again, 604-669-3733. And so when you hear, like, when you tell people that, okay, I'm involved in Hallmark films, like, what reaction do you get?
For the most part, people just are so excited and love it. Like,
Yeah.
There's so many Hallmark fans. People just love the Hallmark movies. They love the actors. They love the storylines. They love that they can share it with their family.
And there was one that I really liked that was about a woman who worked in a Chinese restaurant. And she,
yes.
do you know that one?
I do know that one,
Yes, I really enjoyed it because it was about her family. And I don't think there was a romance involved. It was just how she grew up every year needing to work over Christmas because that was the busiest time at the restaurant. And she couldn't find a way, to get away. And they ended up having to close the restaurant. I'm not going to give it away, but it was just a really heartwarming film. And I guess that's really part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and you bring up an interesting evolution of Hallmark films. I think they heard their audience asking for more diversity and inclusion and really starting to broaden their storytelling. Because for a while, Hallmark sort of was synonymous with a particular look and aesthetic that wasn't all that inclusive. So it's really cool that you saw a movie that spoke to different cultures.
I think that was part of what really drew me to it, to be honest with you, is thinking about, that is an experience I know people have had. Sure. So it felt quite representative and reflective. So that's an interesting evolution, as you say.
Yeah.
And is there an effort to do that?
I think it's very consciously so.
Yes.
Because I know even when I moved to Vancouver, like I never thought I would work on a Hallmark production.
No?
And then, initially, no. I've done a few now, but I think they've really tried to address this issue of like having a more diverse cast and more diverse stories. So it's
And
great.
ageism and telling stories about, older people and not just
Wonderful.
people that are married. It's been a lot of change that way.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
that's laudable. Again, 604-669-3733, 1-800-825-5950. Michelle Harrison and Omar Newton are with me. They are involved in a 3-day Hallmark boot camp, and this is all about Hallmark holiday filmmaking, and that's taking place at the Vancouver Film School this weekend. So we're asking you, what's your favorite holiday film? Angela is joining us from Vancouver. Hi, Angela.
How's it going?
Really well. Thanks very much. And what's your favorite holiday film? Or is it a holiday film? I guess is what you want to say.
That's the question. There is little room for debate. I certainly believe that it is. And it's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh,
Okay.
fantastic
I'm not
movie.
gonna give the end away, but there is something at the end that puts it in the camp of definitely a holiday Christmas, like a Christmas movie.
I like that you're holding out on a spoiler for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So, what is it that you love about it? And yes, without spoilers, what do you? I do love this movie as well. I love the book, right?
Yeah.
And so, what is it that you love about the movie, Angela?
Well, this is an odd place to start talking about this particular story, but we were just talking about diversity, and the fact that it's set in a sort of a magical kingdom makes it so much more accessible and sort of relatable to people of all backgrounds. I certainly found it very relatable. The fact that there's, darkness in the world and there's darkness in your heart, but something that comes and liberates everything, that brings goodness back into the equation. And it's just such a hopeful movie. Lots of drama, lots of sort of character development as well.
Yes.
Lots to enjoy about it. Yeah.
Oh, you've described
and the
it so.
Characters are just amazingly written.
Yeah, they really are, and the characters that you meet along the way
Yeah.
as well. Right?
Exactly. It's all part of that journey. Yeah.
What a great choice, Angela. I think we can probably also settle this debate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need to get a list going so we can
Yeah,
all go home and
exactly.
watch
Yes,
these movies
that
later.
is a holiday film. I think you're right, and it does even as I think about the visuals, it does take me to this time of year. And you've described the appeal of it so eloquently, Angela. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You take care. That's Angela in Vancouver. Roger is calling us from Vancouver now with a holiday film. Hi, Roger.
Hi.
Hello. What's your favorite holiday movie?
The Holiday Inn one with Fred Astaire and Bing Crosby, and I think Gene Kelly is in it. I'm not sure.
Okay. And do you know the name of it?
Something about favorite Holiday Inn or something.
Yeah.
It's about an inn, and it has Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly in it.
Well, it takes place in it. The show, it takes place at Christmas. Fred Astaire sings, and he's a really good singer too.
Oh, sure.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
He's all right.
Oh, lovely.
Bing Crosby got him beat a little bit, but
Yeah. I hear he has some Christmas songs, in fact. And
yeah, that's right.
you're right. It's called Holiday Inn from 1942. And it stars, Bing Crosby, Fred Astaire, Marjorie Reynolds, and Virginia Dale. Is there a lot of dancing in it as well, Roger?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Oh, how much do I love that?
And it's kind of a nice surprise because there's a vehicle that gets stuck, and the lady in the vehicle, well, she is one of the stars, and she leaves the vehicle, and she gets to the inn, I believe, and from there, everything grows around her and Fred Astaire.
And Fred Astaire. That's it. Fred Astaire.
You
Two
can't go
words.
wrong with that.
Yeah, that's all you
go
need.
wrong.
Fred Astaire.
Roger, have you seen it yet this year?
No, not this year, no.
No. Okay. Well, I hope.
There's clips on TV
Yeah.
once in a while,
Yeah.
and
I hope you get to watch it.
I'm gonna watch it too.
Yeah. It sounds fabulous, Roger. Thank you so much.
It takes place around Christmas too. So.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
exactly.
thank you.
Yeah. It's called The Holiday Inn. Thank you for that. Lots of emails are coming in as well. Jason writes, okay, this is not a movie, but I make a habit of watching Alone in the Wilderness. It's on PBS around Christmas time. They use it to air the story as part of their fundraising campaign. And once I lost cable television, I purchased the DVDs and I watch it every year now to carry the tradition. Oh, that is so lovely. John writes, I like Santa Claus 1 and 2. Oh, yeah, you like to laugh, don't you? The Hallmark Christmas movies should have awards given to them called the gazebos. There is always a gazebo.
They do love their gazebos. That's,
That is very funny. Or a rating system of 1 to 5 gazebos. I think you're onto an idea there. We happen to have someone who's ahead of the film program at Vancouver Film School, so you might have an in.
I'll talk to Ron Oliver tonight.
There you
I'll
go.
say, let's get some gazebo awards.
It's not a bad idea. And Anthony writes, I love Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
I love that movie.
Okay,
Yes.
Jim Henson.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, you can't go
You
wrong.
can't go wrong.
No.
It's a fun take on the gift of the Magi with bluegrass and puppets and a wild rock and roll band starring a bear, a snake, and a mink. Oh my goodness. It's got everything.
Yes.
It's a sweet story about family and the true meaning of Christmas. I watch it every year. And then Joanne writes, not to be humbug, but we find it really hard to watch traditional movies on regular television, but tons of Hallmark through the season. Also love It's a Wonderful Life, National Lampoon, Miracle on 34th Street, Scrooge, and the original Santa Claus. Joanne, thank you so much. Doesn't this just give you the warm and fuzzies?
It really does.
I'll go meet you at the Robson Ice Rink. We'll go
Yes.
skating and then watch a movie.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank
I'll
you
be
so much. Thanks so much, both of you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
And happy holidays. I can say it now.
Yes.
Happy holidays.
All right. Michelle Harrison and Omari Newton, they're involved with the Vancouver Film School's 3-day Hallmark Boot Camp.